the Android emulator opening up, and maybe it tries to compete for the microphone because we've got so many
Yeah.
different pieces of software running. We'll pick something a little bit safer to start with. So here, instead, hit W to open the project in a web browser. And so here we're running Webpack, which is the bundler that a lot of people use on web. And down here,
and your screen is not sharing anymore. You have to reshare.
Apologies for that. Okay. So here we've what I've done is I inside of my terminal, and that will open our project on the web. And once it built, here we've got our project, which is the exact same one that you saw in iOS, running in a web browser. You can switch between the two tabs. It's pretty simplistic, and all the live changes work as well. So if we say hello Knackathon and we change this to instead hi Knackathon and save, we see the changes live in our web tab. And if we actually reconnect the iOS project, we should be getting live updates for all of them as well. So this is the basics. Now let's go on to building something that's a little bit more interactive. As I mentioned, one of the things that's awesome about something like Expo is you get access to the native device capabilities that are on your phone. And how about we just start to add a camera component? So a camera component on the screen. We've got this docs page on docs.expo.io that explains how to use it. And everything's done through this Expo camera package that gives you a React component that will preview your device's camera. So oftentimes the easiest way to just get started is to go to the docs, where we often have an example for how to set up a component. The camera component does have a couple of moving pieces to it, because we've got to first ask for permission from the end user to see if we can access the camera in the first place. And over here, we've got a way to run Expo in the browser, actually, using remote simulators or a web preview. And this is a great way to just try out different APIs. So I just got here from the docs where there's a button that says try this example on Snack. Snack is the way that we run Expo projects in the browser. And this is just a really quick way to see some code that is working end to end. So I'll just pull this screen up here where we've got this QR code that I can scan with my device and actually load this project, not just in the browser, but also as kind of a live demo. And so on my phone, I opened up this app that you can get from the Play Store or App Store. It's called Expo Go, which is a very quick way to start developing Expo apps. And then I just loaded this Snack demo on my phone, and here it is loading and running. And this is what the demo is. It's actually just a live camera preview, and there's a little flip button in the corner, and if we hit it, it just flips from the back to front camera. So that's what this demo does. You can get it running live on a phone. The reason why this demo needs to run on a phone is because the simulators on a computer don't give you access to the camera components. But on a real device, you can preview the camera. So let's run with the demo code in here and pull it into our Knackathon app. I'm going to run through this a little more quickly without necessarily explaining what every little step does, just because you're able to read through that code later if you're interested in trying out the camera component. And we just really want to get something working. I'd say that actually a pretty good way to learn a new API is to just start using it. sometimes like the docs can be very helpful to learn exactly like the intricacies of an API and all the features that some API supports. But when you're at the very beginning, when you're learning how to use something, just seeing how it works live is a great way to get motivated and see the capabilities. So we're just going to go ahead and just copy and paste this camera component into our view down here. We've got some values, styles that we need to plug in as well. So I'm just going to copy these just straight out of this demo, and then we can tweak them as we go. And we'll just remove this on press element, and then we've also need to get this type variable over here, and React.use state. Okay. So we've saved our changes, and now over here we don't have a camera in our app preview, and the reason is because we couldn't resolve this Expo camera dependency in our project. So what we need to do is, and the docs talk about this, if we go back here, is we need to run expo install expo camera. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy that command and run that in our project. And this is installing the Expo camera dependency. So as you walk through the API docs of Expo, you'll find there are a lot of different packages that give you access to all sorts of capabilities of your device. And for each of these, there's typically a different package that you'll need to install. Got it in pretty quickly. So now we should have our dependency. If we just save and reload, we should see the changes. Now it looks like we don't have the changes quite yet. So one thing we can do is just restart this app, our Hackathon project. It's building the bundle. And here we've got this odd looking just black bar in the middle of the screen. But we can see that there's been a change to our app. So now let's just play around with the styling. Maybe just for simplicity, let's give this a camera component width 300 pixels and height 300 pixels. And when we save, there we go. We've got something that corresponds to the changes we made to this camera component. And then let's make this text for the flip button not so squished. So here we've got something that looks like it should be a camera component. But remember, one of the things is that you can't get live cameras working on the simulators. So we'll need to load this on an actual device. And one of the things that's pretty neat is if you are logged into an Expo account on both Expo Go on your phone and also log into the same account on your computer, the products that are in development will just show up on your phone. So actually on the device, there was an entry for Hackathon, and this is, the lighting's a little weird, but we've got the Hackathon demo running live, and this is the exact same app that we're developing. In fact, if we just play around and let's say we want to set the camera component to be just a little bit bigger, so we'll bump it up to 320 by 320 pixels. I'm going to save in the editor, but watch what happens on the phone. The camera just got a little bit bigger, or maybe we'll shrink it for a much more dramatic effect. And I save in the editor, and you can see the feedback is just like live on the phone right away, and we're getting access to the camera component. And so Expo allows you to do these things really quickly, like just over the course of like a few minutes and doing it live and just copying these examples. We've got a real camera component running on a phone. Let's take this now just a little bit further. One thing that you probably want to do with a camera component is take a photo. So how do we do that? Well, we've got a library called media library, actually. And this gives apps access to the camera roll on a phone. And so what we're going to do is take a photo with our camera and then save it to the camera roll and then switch over to our Photos app, the camera roll, and make sure that the photo was saved. So the first step, as we learned from before, we first need to install our dependencies. So we're going to run expo install media library. And while that's installing, let's look at some of the API methods. So in the sidebar here, you can see there's request permissions async. We need permission to access the end user's camera roll. And then there's this other method called save to library async. And this looks like what we want. So if we had a local URI to some photo, we could then save that to the user's media library, in this case, the camera roll. So first, we will import the media library component into our application. So we've got this here. And then we need to make sure that we request the end user's permission to access the media library. So just for simplicity, just gonna throw this into our code where we also request for the camera permissions. And then we will also now need to actually take the photo. So the way we do that is we'll go back to our camera docs. And there's a photo called, there's a method called take picture async, which sounds like what we want. Takes a picture and saves it to your app's cache directory. And handles rotating the photo to match device orientation. So depending if you took a photo landscape or not, everything is properly handled. And so let's go ahead and call this method. Now, one of the things we need to do, and this is sort of a detail of React, is we need to get a reference to our camera component. So pull this camera ref, react.use ref, start off as null. And we want to call camera.takePictureAsync. But how do we do that? Because we need a reference to this actual camera component. And if some of this is going over your head, don't worry about too much. This is just kind of React implementation details. But there's something called refs, and you can just set this to the camera ref. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us access not just to this camera API if we want to render on the screen, but if we want to get access to this kind of underlying object that represents the camera component, we can do that with this ref. Maybe the simplest way to just show the end effect is to build it. So we're going to make it so that when you push this button, we'll take the photo. So instead of flip, let's make this say snap. We're gonna snap a photo, and then we're gonna use the camera ref. We need to get its current value. This is a React API, and then we're just gonna call take picture async. This exclamation point is actually maybe the simplest way to do this is just cast a Stanny for now. We've got TypeScript, so in theory, if you wanted to write a production application, you'd make sure like all the types are really robust. But for the examples here, we're just trying to get something working first, then we'll go back and clean it up. So here we've got some code where it's actually running live in this demo. You can see the button at the bottom says snap. But if we hit it, we're going to call this take picture async function, but we're not going to necessarily do anything with the photo. We want to save it to our camera roll. And so reading down through this, the description of the take picture async method, see it returns a promise that results in an object that gives you the URI. So that's great. We want the URI of our photo that we just took. We need to await this. Since we need to await this method, it needs to be an async function. This is just a feature of the JavaScript language. If you're familiar with this, this is just a plain async function. If this is a new or foreign concept to you, async functions are a great way to structure all these tasks that need to happen in sequence. Like you first want to take the photo, but sometimes that might take a few seconds. So async await allows you to run some code in sequence without freezing the rest of your application. But for the sake of this demo, it's just sort of the way things work, and is an implementation detail. And here, our main goal is to get this URI of the photo back out. And what we wanted to do at the end of the day was to save the photo to our media library. So let's go back to the media library docs, and we'll go down to save to library async, which just takes this URI. So we'll copy this over, give it the local URI, await this for good measure. And so here we've got this app. This is the same instance of the Expo development client throughout this whole demo, and it's just been live updating the whole time. And let's see if everything comes together. So here, let's try to snap this photo and see if it shows up in the camera roll. So I hit snap at the bottom, and then we'll switch over to photos in the camera roll. And sure enough, there's the slightly awkwardly taken photo of my fingers. But this is something that we just threw together in less than 25 minutes, and you have this live feedback the whole time, and hopefully this gives y'all some inspiration for how to use Expo. One last quick demo I'll do, because it's especially engaging and just like fun to see, is how to use push notifications. So there's this whole API on how notifications work, and you can schedule them and have local notifications and push notifications on the server, and they work across iOS and Android. But we'll just do a quick demo of how to send a push notification in less than 5 minutes. So we ran Expo install, Expo notifications. We've got that library in here. Now we'll just import this into our component. So import stars notifications from Expo notifications. And then just somewhere when our app is booting up, we'll just say notifications dot request permission async, since we need the user's permission to send them notifications. And once we've got that permission, then we'll say notifications get Expo push token async. So a push token is sort of like an identifier, or it's something that is almost like the address of a device, and you can use that push token to send a specific device notifications. In the case, we'll just send it to our own device here. And this just gives us back, actually you can see what this gives us back. So we'll say result equals await. And then everyone's favorite debugging tool, console.log, we're just gonna print out the result of getting this notification. So here, we'll just hit save. And we've got a bunch of warnings here in our terminal because it says notifications are not handled in the simulator. This whole time we actually had this simulator connected to our development server along with the live device. So let's just shut down the simulator since we won't need it for this live demo. And instead, we'll launch in our real app instead. So here we just saw this message get printed out to the development console, and it says exponent push token and then some garbled random text type Expo. So This, it's not clear entirely what's going on. So let's walk through exactly what happened. We wrote some code for requesting permission to send notifications. And then once we got permission, we said we want to get a push token that we can use to send notifications. And then we're going to log that push token out to our debug console. When I hit save in this editor, our project reloaded on my phone right away live, and this code started running. I gave it permission to send push notifications to this device, and then it ran this code to actually get the push token for the device and then log it to the console. And so it's back on this computer's console here. I've got this push token. Now, there's a whole server-side API that you can use to send push tokens, but let's just do this the real lightweight way to get started. So we've got a dashboard at expo.io/notifications. And this is just a real simple tool to just test sending push notifications to your Expo projects. So we're going to paste in that push token. This is the exact same push token as the one that was printed out here. And we'll let's give this push token a title. So we'll say hello hackathon. And we can also toggle a whole bunch of other options that are related to push tokens. So for instance, this is on iOS, so we can have it play a sound. And maybe we'll give this a little subtitle too. Doing it live. And you can fill out a lot more text in the notification as well. And when we hit send notification, what this is going to do is it's going to send this Expo push token to the Expo push notification service, which is going to route it through Apple's push notification service, which will broadcast a notification to this device. And if all goes well, we should see a notification show up when we click send. So click send, and sure enough, we got our notification, which says, hello, Hackathon. And so just literally within 5 minutes, not only did we send notification, but we got the push token and wired the whole app end to end. And hopefully this gives you a lot of inspiration for just trying Expo out for your hackathon ideas. If it works well for you, I think you'll be able to find out in the first half an hour or an hour or so. As you can see, we got a live camera component right into our camera roll, sending notifications. And all of this happened without having any projects on our computer to begin with, and all that in just half an hour. So give Expo a shot, and hopefully it helps a lot of you with your hackathon projects. So that concludes the demo. Just want to quickly go back to the presentation. So we've got a lot of really cool and powerful things that you can do with Expo. There's this repository called github.com/expo/examples. Just last night, one of my teammates named Evan, he made this, it's actually really impressive. He made a live face filter that's running 100% in JavaScript using Expo Camera and this library called 3JS that lets you render 3D objects on the screen. And so I try to get it running on the phone here. It's loading right now, just published this last night. So it's a little hard to see, but if I kind of bend back here, you can see that I've got this face filter on my face. And as I move around, it's actually tracking my face in real time. All the source code is up online if you're curious for how to do these things. You can just iterate on them real quickly. We've got learning materials on the Expo website all over the place. And then also, if you're new to React or React Native, we really recommend checking out those websites as well. Highly recommend Snack as the best place to get started for learning how to make an app with Expo. That was that web UI I showed. That just allows you to write code, and then in real time you'll see it on your device. You don't have to run Expo CLI on your own computer. You can just get started through a web browser. And then once you're further along, then you can set up Expo CLI on your computer and walk through something like we did today with that Hackathon demo. And there are a bunch of examples on our examples repository for how to integrate with all sorts of different services and APIs as well. So I think these links will help you out a lot if you're learning Expo. And that really wraps it up. We've got about 10 minutes or so left, maybe a little less than that. And one of the things that like Lyra, I thought a lot of folks in the audience might be curious to learn about would be just like making a company or advice for school or whatnot. So with the remaining time left, if anyone has questions for me that I can help answer, I'm happy to chat.
I have the first question.
Yeah, Lyra, go for it.
That was awesome, man. So man, I really want to hear your story. I want to hear your story. I mean, you look like you're probably barely as old as most of these college students here. So I want to, I want to hear your story. How did you come up with the idea of Expo and like, tell us the journey.
Yeah, definitely. So out of school, and I did study programming in school, electrical engineering and computer science. I just knew that I always really liked computers and technology, and out of school, I knew I wanted to do this as a career. So I joined Facebook and I worked there for a couple of years, and I was on a team called Product Infrastructure. And Product Infrastructure was a team that wrote software for other software engineers. The best example of this is something like React. React was actually one of the projects that I worked on the product infrastructure team. And so I just really enjoyed working at this level of abstraction where you're thinking about building APIs that are going to make other developers really productive and just make programming more fun. And just separately from that, like also seeing at Facebook, but also just industry wide, just talking to folks at all sorts of other companies that it was almost like the holy grail if a company were able to just have one team building their app and have it work across Android and iOS and the web, instead of having these 3 different teams and the communication costs across those teams. And so this just seemed like a really important thing to work on. And then one day, this guy who became my co-founder, Charlie, who I had like met a few years ago, we had kind of kept in touch over the years. He reached out to me and talked to me about this idea of just making it easier to build apps that run everywhere. And I was like, yes, this is obviously like a great thing to have. If you had this universal platform, it would just be so great for a ton of different apps that aren't being created today or developers are finding hard to create. This just seemed like a really important thing to work on. And Charlie had also worked on a system called WebNode, which was a way to help engineers build websites really quickly. And he worked on things like Facebook Platform before that. So he also had been working at this level of the stack that was really building software for other software engineers a lot. So we had this shared interest in this problem and a shared interest in working at this level of the stack. And just had this good feeling about working together. And so we started working on Expo. And at the beginning, React Native didn't exist. But we had done a lot of development on the web, and we just knew that having this fast feedback loop of being able to just write JavaScript or HTML and then refresh the website and see those results, that was awesome. But also we're seeing these companies spin up these whole Android and iOS teams because they need the performance and native capabilities of Android and iOS. So what if we could somehow marry like the best of both worlds together? And so we knew we wanted JavaScript, but running and giving you access to the native capabilities of Android and iOS. So we actually implemented a lot of Node.js on iPhone to start with. Because Node.js was, and now today even more so, it was like one of the most popular ways to run JavaScript outside of the browser. So we implemented Node.js, had it working on iOS from the ground up, but we didn't have a view component layer. But we knew that we wanted it to be like a React-like UI or React itself even, and give you access to the native views of the device. Because there are all these like great view components that people have written, like the camera in our demo. And then React Native went into public beta, and we got access to it. And within, it was honestly 3 days or so, we evaluated it and just knew this had all the characteristics of the view system that we wanted. And so we decided just to switch over to it. I think one of the lessons here is that we had spent months and months and months, just many hours doing a lot of JavaScript programming on iOS, something that people weren't doing a lot of at that time. And so when React Native came out, we were in a position to very quickly make that judgment call that this was the right approach for us at least. And this was something that we wanted to take a bet on. And I think that's how actually a lot of things in your career will pan out, is that you'll learn some field, become more of an expert at it, and it's going to take you months or years, and then there will be this overnight success. But the quote is something like, "Overnight success takes years." But even for us, it wasn't even like a success. We were just like able to make this judgment call. This is like the technology that we wanted to use in our application. And then from there on out, we used Expo and React Native as one of the dependencies as a way to build apps actually with some other companies in tandem. That was a really great way for us to learn how to improve Expo, was actually building real production apps, sitting down with other engineers at other companies that are using Expo, and just seeing firsthand what are the pain points, what's going well, what should we do more of. And that's still an approach that we use till today, is we are in close contact with a lot of these big companies that are using Expo, just always get the latest feedback from them to just really make sure that Expo works well for professionals. Happy to chat more about this at another time, but hopefully that kind of gives you a story of how Expo got started.
We appreciate that. So yeah, no, that was a really fascinating. I mean, sometimes it's kind of hard to explain without holding the phone and showing people, like, it's not just the simulator that's changing. It's like the phone itself is connected up to the device, and as you're literally making changes, this thing is hot reloading, and it's just it's insane. People have to tinker with it to kind of see the power of that.
Yeah, definitely. Like one of the earlier slides in this presentation talked about one way to evaluate things is to look at what it would feel like to give up all these features. If you haven't done traditional mobile development before, start with Expo. Actually get used to the hot reloading features. Get used to it being normal for your project to work on your own Android phone or your own iPhone and your friend's iPhone or their Android phone, and then go away from that. Spin up Xcode, spin up Android Studio, see what that's like. And if that's working well for you, that's great too. There will always be Android and Xcode apps in the world, in the way that some people still spin up Visual Studio today to make a desktop app for Windows. But most people just want to make websites for reaching folks on the desktop. And we think that there's something that needs to happen on mobile as well.
Well, we appreciate it. We're gonna head into the lunch here, and but man, I really appreciate your time, and I will connect with you and keep in touch on Discord. And I hope you'll at least drop in and say hi to some of these guys over there hacking. And we try to encourage them to build something on Expo. And I'm gonna go in there again and push them pretty hard. So we appreciate your time, James.
Thanks so much, Leroy.
You take care.
Thanks, everyone.
So yeah, we're going to go into lunch here, and during lunch, it's going to just pretty much be a 1 hour break, a little bit less now since we're about a 1 hour break. And so we set up these networking sessions, and we hope everybody will get in there. And if you can figure out any topics that you think that we didn't add networking sessions for, just message us in this chat stream. But I just want to kind of do a quick recap on what you've seen so far, which is the first talk, other than the opening ceremony. The first talk was about the serverless framework. And that's essentially just a completely new way to build back-end code, without servers. So you don't have to manage any servers, no upfront configuration and setup. And of course, if it gets really busy, scaling issues and all this kind of stuff, it's just you can essentially use the serverless framework, cross-language, cross-cloud, whatever language or cloud platform you're familiar with. You can essentially just build and deploy very quickly your back-end, which includes an API that your front end would talk to, as well as any other background processes you might need. Scheduled stuff, you can easily do scheduled things, event-based things like, again, there's so many examples, but I mean, it could be something as simple as somebody, a file gets dropped into a bucket, or, I mean, anything, any event you can think about, serverless can handle it. So it's not just APIs. And so I wanted to give you a sort of a glimpse into the future of API and back-end development without servers using serverless. And then I wanted to give you a glimpse into essentially front end, the new sort of next generation of front end development, which really truly is, for many years, I mean, probably over a decade, we've had this, humanity has had this vision of, build the code once and it can run anywhere. I mean, I think that even started as far back as Java, but it's only been here recently that we're getting to the point where you can do that with a tool like Expo, where you can literally build one code base, and that code base can be deployed to, say, any mobile operating system, Android, iOS. It can also be rendered in a browser, so web-based, and then also, through leveraging other tools like Electron, but technically also it can be deployed to desktop. And so just like these apps like Slack that you download on your desktop, you could essentially build one code base, and this thing could go to Android, iOS, run in the web, desktop, whatever. And you want to make changes to it, you change one code base, and then boom, deploy it to all these various devices. I mean, maybe even eventually smart TV or whatever. We don't care what the device is. You build one code base, surface it on any device, and then link that thing up to a serverless backend that is completely scalable, and that requires no servers, and that involves minimum infrastructure costs, because nothing is ever charged to you unless the function is invoked, and you're basically moving into the future of engineering. And so I wanted to give you that as the first couple talks of the day. We'll take the lunch break, and then we will jump into some more talks. So everybody definitely hit the networking sessions, and see you in a little bit.